Welcome back. We're still on the point of view, talking to some newly minted regional ministers. As we said, President Mahama has appointed a few ministers. He's sticking to his 16 regional ministers as well. And a number of them have been vetted and successfully sworn in. We spoke to James Gunu earlier. We have the newly minted regional minister for Ashanti joining us to talk about the challenge of being the youngest minister in Mahama's administration, managing possibly the largest region. It's a big job. Doc, welcome to the show. Good evening.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Bernard.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I was checking the ages. I think you're the youngest so far of Mahama's ministers.
I think so, yeah.
But you are the only one born in the 90s. So you are probably the only Gen Z. Even though Gen Z is from 97,
yeah.
Typically they say Gen X, millennials are 91 to 96. But you're the only person born in the 90s.
Yeah, so I have a responsibility of carrying them along.
So they're all looking towards you. Yeah. Your journey in politics was interesting because you started mainstream politics only in 2022?
Yeah,
mainstream.
2020.
2020?
Yes.
COVID time?
All the way from 2012, I have been involved in student leadership. Okay. From campus, University of Ghana, Allied Health Student Association. From there, I ran for presidency for National Health Student Association of Ghana, for all the health students in Ghana. I won that, and by virtue of that, I was a National Executive Committee member for NUCS. Okay. From there, I became chairman for the NUCS at 50 Central Planning Committee. Then a year after, I ran for NUCS president. Okay. So right from NUCS presidency, I moved to mainstream politics. I was still a student, final year medical school. I won my primaries, and I attempted the general elections. Yes. Significantly, I improved the votes among the percentages and all that within the constituency in 2020. So that became a stepping stone to the regional level. I ran for regional secretary in 2022. Wow. Won convincingly. Then I also had the challenge of being the youngest regional secretary for the party in the region, having to manage our former appointees, the council of elders, and all the other senior party members within the region. In a very successful manner, we were able to rally all of them around so that we'll be able to execute the task of the 2024 general elections, which was successful to a very large extent.
So when NDC says an election is successful in Ashanti, what does it mean? Because I know the gap for MPP has been upwards of 1 million. So what was the target for NDC in Ashanti, and do you say you exceeded the expectation?
Yes, we did exceed the expectation, because in Ashanti, anything above 28% for us is even good for us. Because in 2008, we had 26.1. We moved to a runoff and we still won. In 2008, in 2012, we had 28% and we won on the first round. In 2016, we went all the way back to 22%. We didn't go anywhere. And then in 2020, we came back to 26.6.
Which many people thought that meant you should have won
for a runoff.
Yes, at least.
At least.
And it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. So moving into 2024, we realized that we would need to do beyond even the 28% in order to compensate for the other regional deficits. So we targeted actually 35% for Ashanti.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. You targeted
35%. And fortunately for us, we had 33.1% minus Ahafano North,
which is not yet
added. If it's added from our internal coalition, it should give us around 34%.
This looks like the highest region, even since Rollins' time in Ashanti for NDC.
Ashanti region for the NDC. Our seats. So in Ashanti, the seats are equally significant. The best for us is 4 seats. So we targeted 18 seats.
Oh. Are you kidding me?
You
targeted 18 seats.
We had 10. 3 are still in court, 7 declared for us. And with all the others among the 18 list, I may not share with you, you realize that we had a gap of about 20,000, we reached it to 3,000, some 1,500, some 2,000. So it's a project for us. In the next election, in the next 2 elections, we should be able to cover all those.
So as a regional secretary, you look not just at the presidential, the parliamentary is also a very organic, because the president can be popular in the country. Yeah. So if your parliamentarians don't do well,
you won't be able to have the parliamentary majority needed.
So beyond Sechedumasi, Ejura, Asomasi, obviously, I was shocked at some of the places you won.
Yeah.
Even the fact that in Obuasi East, you were going neck for neck.
Neck for neck, exactly.
How does that even happen? Katie Hammond, you removed?
Yeah. Katie Hammond, when I entered this constituency, after engaging 2 shops, I realized that no, there was a golden opportunity because we had targeted Adansia Soka since 2012. When I entered that constituency on the first, that was far back in 2023.
Wow.
And I noticed that he had lost touch with the people. And the needs of the people were not on his table. When I started the campaign in 2024, any community I went to, the people would come for the mic. I was using a PA system. And they said, no, Doc, let us help you with the campaign.
Wow.
Let us tell you what we need. I'll give them the mic. I'm there to campaign to them, not to campaign to myself. And the only thing they mention in every town is access to a toilet facility.
Wow.
That was the major thing they needed in Adansia Soka constituency. However, KT has been there for 24 years and couldn't provide that. So I keep saying, our new MP over there, I have to be very strict on him, together with the DC who will be appointed. So at least we solve that basic problem for the people, among the other things they requested for.
For no Southeast was a surprise for me. Although when I look at your election performance, you tend to do well in the offensive areas.
Yeah.
So you usually lose marginally. How on earth did you win Hafano Southeast?
So Hafano Southeast, we had a challenge with only 2 towns.
Okay.
So after profiling the whole sector, we needed to just keep those 2 towns under control. And that is it for us. I'm going to turn those 2 towns into our stronghold, moving into 2020.
You are serious?
Yeah, we're going to work at that.
Akrofrom as well. Yeah. Never heard of NDC ever coming close.
We don't come close.
Was it a candidate? Did you win Akrofrom presidential too?
Yeah, we won presidential too.
You won presidential and parliamentary
in Akrofrom. Candidate ran in 2020. We were colleagues during that election. After the whole events when I became regional secretary, I visited that area. We successfully profiled the constituency and we realized that no, there was a golden opportunity over there. And now Azuma is the MP and we're going to maintain that seat. And even before he was elected, he had started embarking on developmental projects in the constituency, which he was having a head-on confrontation with the district assembly, trying to frustrate his efforts and all that. But I realized that was going to fetch us the sympathy votes that would make him an MP. And he did the magic for us.
When I analyzed President Mohammed's performance in Ashanti, he actually won more constituencies than his MPs because he won Offenso North, he won Hafano Southwest.
Yeah. Even Hafano North, he won.
So it means presidential 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and parliamentary 7 or 6.
Parliamentary, okay, 10. 3 are still under contention.
Candidates for president.
We will still win the elections.
I see.
Yes.
Have you profiled the votes to see whether it's the youth who are voting, is it the women, is it the old people? Have you done that yet?
More so on a glance of it. It's more of the youth. It's more of the youth because the Ashanti history and dynamics has it that the older generation are still stuck to the revolution and the issues that occurred. The older guys care about the bread and butter, jobs, how they will be able to survive this economy. That is what they care about. So most of our campaign activities were targeted to them. And it gave them palpable reasons for which His Excellency John Dramani Mahama stands tall amongst all the peers in the 2024 general elections. And we're going to make sure that we deliver on that mandate and make sure we provide that hope for the good people of Ashanti Region and Ghana for that matter.
So I'm saying that for somebody born in 1990, they don't remember Rawlings and the way he is portrayed among Ashanti voters may not really be an issue for them because the first time they voted was probably Kufuor.
Yeah. They care less about.
Actually, no, not even Kufuor because Kufuor came in 2000.
2000.
So their first election was 2020.
Yeah. Okay, if you were born in 1990 like myself, you started voting by
2010
males.
Yes.
And then JM, then Nana Akufo-Addo, then JM again. So they have less history about all the issues that occurred. It's the older generation that are entrenched. But if you look at the history of Ashanti Region, we were predominantly CPP. Before we switched between the 80s and the 70s and the 80s back to UP and then all the other issues that occasioned most of them moving to the MPP. So the root of most of the Ashanti town is CPP. And if you look at the profile of the NDC, it is predominantly CPP.
Yeah.
That is our base as a party. So once you're able to connect well with the people, let them understand the history, let them understand why, beyond the history, there is hope in that government.
By yourself, why did you join NDC? You are from Mampong. I listened to where you come from. You are from very strong MPP places, at least in the time you were born. So was it just student politics that guided you there, or were your parents NDC?
My parents, my father had a confrontation with the Royal soldiers in time past. And from there they became friends. So my dad was a bit tilted towards the NDC. So since I knew him, he was pro-NDC. Though a teacher, but still from his conversation, pro-NDC. My mom, typical MPP family.
Wow.
Yes, typical MPP family. Growing up in 2008, my elder brother had started this whole political venture, and he was the voice of the NDC within Mampong constituency. Not Alex.
So your brother is NDC?
Yes, my brother is NDC. He started this whole political cause. So when I voted for the first time in 2008, it was the posture of males that got me to actually vote for him. Because I felt that he had struggled for far too long, being branded as the Amoakohene and all that. So when I voted for him, I felt good. And we won the elections. So it was when I entered university that I actually got the chance to really assess the two political parties and the option to actually take. And I realized that the NDC is the party for the youth.
Really?
Give the youth opportunity. People who inspired me when I joined the NDC, including Amoakohene and my senior colleague, Dr. Manibuama. When I started medical school, and all, I realized that the gap between us is like 10 years, thereabout. As early as 28, Okujetu was deputy minister. As early as 40, Omane was minister of state for communication, among others.
And they were all NUCS presidents?
Yeah, they were all NUCS presidents.
So it means when you were in the university, you were timing the NUCS presidency?
Yes, I was looking at most of the NDC-oriented NUCS presidents are doing well within the political space. They are Harina, you can mention them.
Let's go through.
Harina, Omane, Ablakwa, Edward Bauer, who else? At least these four.
But if you look at MPP too, Anodompre, he was SRC NUCS. Amin Andam.
And we have
Mustafa Hamid.
We have Suparuk, Sisala West MP. He's also a product of NUCS from Pusak, among others. And even if you look at our current government, Malik Basintali is a NUCS product, it's a USAC product.
Okay.
By extension.
We'll do that list when we come back. This is the point of view. We're talking to Frank Amoakohene. He is the Ashanti Regional Minister. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're still on the point of view, talking to some new regional ministers. My guest for this segment is Dr. Frank Amoakohene, the newly minted Ashanti Regional Minister. We're talking about student politics. You made some very interesting claim that in terms of people progressing from campus politics, student politics to national leadership, NDC has a better record. I thought that was interesting. Record, So I didn't know you were counting, but there are a few MPP guys who did student politics, Samir Uku and Co, who are also there. So which means the time you were doing campus politics, you were already NDC. Yes,
the time I was doing campus politics, I was NDC inclined.
And were you NDC sponsored?
No, I led demonstrations against NDC.
You are sure?
Over the nursing training allowance. In 2016, I was NASAC president. 2015, I was NASAC president.
So even then, you were NDC sympathetic?
Sympathetic, but still on some government policies, I still disagreed with them.
So you led them more against NDC in 2016?
At the point, I've looked at them, stood that Ashanti boy leading demonstrations, getting still a contradictory feedback that is pro NDC. Can we agree on that? The point there is that you can be a student leader and a sympathetic towards a political party. But when it comes to the issue of representation, you represent the interests of the students. So at any point in time, when the people who elected you question your decision, then you should know that you are leading yourself but not the people. So yes, at that point in time, I was NDC sympathetic, but I made sure that at every point in time, the interests of the people come first.
It is said that campus politics has now not just been infiltrated, but taking over. So there are candidates who are known. You were NUCS president a couple of years ago. Is this correct that these days elections are heavily national politics involved?
And it is from the invasion of TIN and TESCON on the various political campuses. There is more of a struggle over the SRC among others. In time past, when it wasn't so, you could get the students together to fight a nationally directed cause. just like the Akosombo Accord in those days, Get Fund in those days.
Because when the mob was struggle.
Yes, Unigov in those days.
Yeah.
You could get the students all together united to fight the student cause. But with the infiltration of the TESCON and then the thing, when you become an SLC president or a NUCS president, and you don't lead with tact, it's either your side will force you to become very unpopular. And once you become unpopular at the students' front, known to be a stooge of a political party, the others lose trust or hope in you, and that is it. You may not progress.
So are you saying in your time, you were not considered NDC, even though the NDC executive knew you? So when you were NUCS president in
2017, 2018,
you were not...
The government at that time knew and had profiled me and knew my orientations in that regard.
But did they call you out as an NDC boy running NUCS?
In few times they did. In few times they did. Because I led a demonstration, the Ghana First demonstration against the Ghana US military due. Okay, but the students still had confidence in me because I had led a similar demonstration against the NDC. So the ordinary students got a bit confused that, oh, if this guy is branded NDC, why would he lead a demonstration against his own people and lead a demonstration against the government of the day? So I didn't really care about the political class. What I cared about was the students that I was leading. And rightly so, in every other office I had sought to lead or I had sought to run, I get people from the political divide supporting that agenda. And even if you realize when the nomination came out, both NDC and during my vetting, you could see that there are youths on the MPP side who had known me from student leadership. They were very happy. Because they know how objective I am when it comes to this issue about either national interest, student interest, or the people-centered decision whatsoever. So for me, that is what helped me survive the terrain.
People worry that campus politics has become not just overtaken by national politics, but also money, and there's also corruption. So one question is, as a young person, what motivates you to go into politics?
So thank you. So at the students front, yes, if you don't take care, the issues of finances may ruin you. So you may Google some former SRC president and you have financial issues. During my student days, I was much more concerned about the social capital. And that is what has kept me. So right from NUCS days, most of the people you saw at the vetting were people who had supported me through my student leadership days. So yes, at the SRC level, at the NUCS level, if you don't take care, you'll be overtaken by the fact that SRC dues whatsoever and all that. But if you don't take care, you crash before you even land. Moving into politics, I realized that after serving the students and after serving at different youth fronts, I had a lot more to offer the good people of either Ghana or the region or the constituency, wherever I found myself. And I realized that I represented more of their view on issues. So, I mean, having started for almost half a decade, leading at that very young age, there was no need to abandon that cause.
I was Googling your Amoakohene NUCS president to see if there's any scandal. I haven't found one yet.
Yeah, you won't find any.
I won't find any.
Yeah, you won't find any, don't worry.
I saw. So, let's move into... So you are a politician fully now, but you're a medical doctor.
Yeah.
You've sort of moved from medical lab to mainstream medicine. I'm sure your mother was hoping that you will, practice medicine. And now you are practicing politics. Talk to me about that transition, because I don't think you're going to have time to do medicine.
So properly. Medicine can be practiced at different levels, at the policy level, at the leadership level, or at the consulting room. At the leadership and the political or policy level, that is where you are able to make that huge impact. And the consulting room, yes, it is refreshing. You attend to patients, people will come to you. But if you have any opportunity to be on the table where policy formulation is made, it is far better than limiting yourself to that level. So yes, I have a huge health background. After the medical lab, I didn't just abandon that because it's a strong foundational knowledge you need as a medical practitioner. I further to read the Doctor of Medical Laboratory Sciences. Together with the MBC.
So you've been a doctor there before you became...
I was holding BSc, went to medical school, then now went back to do the Doctor of Medical Lab Sciences.
So you're a medical lab scientist and a medical
doctor. Then from there, I had to add a bit of management, so I read the MBA program, which broadened my scope when it comes to corporate governance and all these art-related.
What advantage does being a medical lab scientist have in your medicine?
Okay, so medical lab scientists, you are more of targeted towards the diagnostics, lab work, finding out within the blood, the urine, the stool, whatever issues, whatever causative mechanism that is causing the disease. So as a medical doctor, you write to request from the lab. The lab scientist is expected to provide you additional information to guide your clinical diagnosis or your clinical knowledge. Now, when the results come from the lab and you have an additional knowledge about how the lab processes go on, and if there are any issues whatsoever, you're able to have a holistic discussion with them to even assist them and give them some pointers as to the direction they should look in order that you can get that. So
if you are hot as a doctor in a town with no lab, you can do everything
myself.
You can
I can write the request and get back to the lab, do the test,
and do your diagnosis,
and do my prescription,
and do your prescription.
We are good to go.
Incredible. Health was a big issue in the election. I noticed in your campaigns you used that a lot. You spoke about health facilities abandoned. So it's almost like you are playing to your strength. But Mahama has a big challenge because there are lots of projects that have been started that have not been finished. And so in a sense, they have the Akufo-Addo imprint. And politics people like to take credit. Talk about health for Ashanti. What do you think the priorities for the president are in that region when it comes to health?
So for healthcare delivery, we start from the very base, the primary healthcare. So in his first term, we spent a lot on CHIP compounds and health centers. Some were abandoned. So the focus will be to make sure that we complete most of them and make them available. Even before that, the preventive aspect of health is one area that you cannot do away with. Because you prevent the disease in the first place to even prevent a lot of pressure on the creative sector. So our public health knowledge and the public health department need to be on the field, empower the people with information, among others, and especially first aid information, so that when there are issues, even within the household, they'll be able to take some remedies before they get to the CHIP compound or health centers. From there, we come to the secondary level, which is the district hospitals. District hospitals, some of the districts did not have, and some even as of now do not have district hospitals. The plan was to make sure after Kumaru Hospital, Formena, Konongo, Tepa Hospital, and all these district hospitals be able to expand. Thankfully, the MPP administration initiated the Agenda 111, which they couldn't meet their timelines and they couldn't commission them as such. We have a responsibility as a government to make sure we pursue these and complete them. Once we're able to do that, at least we bridge a lot of gap at the secondary level to make sure that any cases that cannot be handled at the primary level, at least we get an intervention at the secondary level. Then now we come to the tertiary level. The tertiary level now falls on only Konfanochi. And Konfanochi serves beyond just Ashanti region. Almost half of the northern belt all for or rely on Konfanochi for medical interventions whatsoever. The plan was to get Sewua Hospital function like Rich Hospital as a regional referral site to limit the pressure on Konfanochi. Precisely. Then Afari Military Hospital to serve like 37 military hospital to equally relieve pressure from Konfanochi. Then once we have less pressure on Konfanochi, we can now give it a world-class touch like Otufo wants to have. So His Royal Majesty wants to embark on the Hill Konfanochi project. But now there is not much space to undertake a huge
Too much pressure.
Too much pressure. So the plan will be to complete Sewua, complete Afari. Then we can now focus on Konfanochi. And the President, during his visit at the first Akwasi there, made that commitment to His Royal Majesty Otufo Osei II, that is going to help and see to it that we complete these projects.
But I thought Sewua was finished because the President Akufo-Addo commissioned Sewua. We saw the pictures.
Didn't you come by the cocktail of confusion between Eurogate management and the government of the day?
So, as far as you know, what state of health is the Sewua Hospital in?
Not open for use. And the project has not even been handed over formally to the government.
Maybe that's a money issue.
It's not
Have you visited the place?
If you read the statement from the Eurogate officials, they said that even diagnostic machine, the CT, MRI, what do we call it, X-rays, among others, they are all not fitted. And even the fittings, doors, among others, and some beds and still not in place. So they've not handed over the project. They've not completed, let alone to even hand over to the government. But they were in a haste to make a case that they commissioned the well before leaving government, so that in maybe some years to come, if the argument rises, they can have it dated that, oh, they commissioned it before they left government. But I think that we should be less partisan when it comes to health delivery within the region.
But Afari is done.
Afari is not done.
That's also not done.
Yeah, still not done. Still not done.
Wow. So do you know how much it will cost to finish the two? Is it a money issue or is it just a timeline issue?
From the preliminary engagements I had with some of the sector players, it looked more like a money issue.
Okay.
And the money issue came from the lack of political will to do same. So what I'm going to do is I've scheduled to meet all the departments and the sector players. Once we have that full briefing of the state of the project, what needs to be done, then I can give that report to the sector minister and also furnish the president with same. So we will know how much we will need to complete same in order that we'll be able to have the place open.
How much power does a regional minister have in terms of infrastructure? Because there are sector ministers that direct resources. Road Minister Agboja, Works and Housing is from your region though. So how does a regional minister ensure that, for example, an interchange is done? Because there's a lot of pressure on you. When I listen to Kumasi Radio, they're always talking about roads and projects. Can the regional minister actually do anything about that?
So the regional minister has as much power as the president delegates to him, because you are a president's representative and you have to make sure that the vision of the president is implemented. So you have that courage to act as a pseudo president and make sure things are done.
Ashanti president.
Exactly, that things are done. You don't fold your arms and say they are sector ministers. They are equally under. You are the vertical level.
So you are the president's rep there.
Yes, there.
So you can exercise his power
small, so that when you go and things are not working, you can report back to him, the president, I'm finding it difficult doing A, B, C, D. Then you can now intervene as and when. So yes, I have a huge responsibility to work with the sector ministers to make sure that next time when the president is coming around and he needs to account to the people, he'll be able to give a good stewardship of his work. If I sit idle and be negligent and think that they are sector ministers and I don't have to bring or drive in what is needed for Ashanti Region, I will be doing the president a disservice. So you would see me more on the field, more within the ministries, engaging with them and reminding them that Ashanti Region, the president has a commitment to us and we need to make sure we get the work done.
Buankra Inland Port, every time since I became literate, it's been mentioned. The last time I checked, the project is progressing. This is last quarter of 2024. What's the status of that project?
I don't have the full briefing yet. Okay. I'll meet with the...
But it's not fully functional?
No. It's not functional.
It's not functional at all?
They are still constructing.
What about the residents of the Regional Coordinating Council that you visited in that famous video? Will you live there?
I'll have to start working from home.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I mentioned it to the president when he visited.
Okay.
And he's giving some leads. So we're going to work with those leads to try and redevelop the place so that when he comes around, we will not have to spend on hotels among others. He can stay there and I can equally stay there and all that. But between now and then, I'll be working from home.
Because usually when the president visits the region, he stays at the Regional Coordinating Council. That's what happens.
Precisely.
And it's in a bad state.
Very terrible state.
Have you had briefings from your predecessor?
So I called him. He didn't call back up.
He wasn't happy with what you did.
It was even before the expose. I sent him a text, he didn't reply. I felt that he was still in the broken heart stage and still not over the loss yet. I'm sure now that things are settling, I'll be able to have a hearty conversation with him. But he's walked the path, so I'll be able to avoid his mistakes and also learn from the real challenges for which reason he neglected such a huge presidential villa and his own.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up with a few more points. My guest is Dr. Amoakohene, Ashanti Regional Minister, who has a big task, but also a big future. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're still chatting with Ashanti Regional Minister, fresh from yard, Dr. Amoakohene. He is the youngest minister, born in 1990. That was the year of the Italian 90 World Cup. I was 9 years old.
Hey.
Amazing stuff. You are the only Gen Z in government. Explain to us how they feel. All right, I'm a millennial. Of course, you are a millennial, but I think since you were born after 1990, we can grant you this. What do people in that era know or feel about the world that we don't? I'll give you an example. When we looked at the CDD report on Afrobarometer, and then we looked at NCC, a lot of people said they were not going to vote in the third quarter of 2024 were young people or first-time voters. They said they were not sure they were even going to vote. So it seems to me as if the way we do our politics has disenchanted them. But you can tell me more.
Okay, so thank you. Throughout the campaign period, I focused more on the youth.
Yeah.
And try to connect to them. One of the problems they had was that they didn't have access to political leaders. And yes, access to leadership comes at a cost.
Yeah.
But they will come in with demands. So if you are unable to meet those demands, then you now start running away from them, which brings in that gap. So throughout the campaign, I provided them that opportunity to be able to access and reach me. And I was a student leader. I realized that most of my student leaders like writing on Facebook, Twitter, among others. So I was present over there. And I became regional secretary. I realized that they were more on Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok.
So you moved to where they are?
Yes, you have to follow them wherever they are. So I chased them there. I have a huge following on those platforms. And I could get time to respond to them, especially those who needed some intervention from our level. And they felt that, at least if not for anything, they have someone they can relate to or someone who will represent them so far as the party and governance is concerned. The reason for which, if you follow most of my comments, people say, oh, we vote for NDC because of you, vote for, all those comments kept coming in. So after the appointment was made, the vetting and everything, if you go to social media, you would look at,
they are happy.
They are happy.
They see you as their voice.
Yeah.
But that puts pressure on you.
Yes, but it's also an opportunity for me.
Would you have time? Because now opposition, you have a lot of time. Now you're in government. Your phone, I'm sure as I'm sitting here with you, the number of calls, texts, and
I have someone responding to the calls.
But that's a problem, right?
Yeah.
So that access that brought them to you, how are you going to manage that?
I need to get a team, which I have now, who will constantly be going through all these, sort out the requests, and then help me be able to grant some of them. Some of them need scholarship, get fund, scholarship secretariat, GMPC and all that. I need to make sure as much as possible I push for some of them in that regard. The MMDAs, the MPs and all that. I need to get them to help them. And also keep data on Zim. So that if you come today and you don't get, you can have an assurance that Bernard came and it's been sorted. Give us a week, we'll be able to sort you out. It is better to communicate to them than to run away from them because the pressure is becoming excessive. Some of them need jobs. And it's a huge challenge for us in the region. The region's unemployment rate is above the national average. The national average is 14.7. The region's average is 16.0. So we are about almost 1.3% above the national average. So it brings in a lot of responsibility for us. Now, the NDC promise of the National Apprenticeship Program, which you want to train the youth who want to learn a skill job and all that, so that they can be set up through our Jumeirah policy, so that they can get something doing. I think, and I'll discuss with the youth minister, so we can extend it to graduates, get to brand it well, provide certification for a graduate. I say, I pursued political science, I'm waiting to be employed. 3 years I've not been employed. Why not provide them an opportunity to also learn a skill in order that they can start doing something with that, pending a permanent employment in that sector. And again, any educated person who get to learn a skill is able to get the needed framework to even regulate that industry in a way where they now become managers and create a space for themselves while they employ the others within the informal sector who may not have the managerial skills that you may have had from the university, among others. So I'll discuss with them so we can extend it a bit to give the graduates who are interested in also learning a skill so that they can have access. At least if you have a certificate, diploma or post-degree certificate.
You are sounding more like the Minister for Youth. You are sounding like Pablo's.
I'm his product. So
you are a product of. He mentored you.
Yes.
Who is your political mentor? Who are your top 3 political mentors?
My uncle, Dr. Dufo.
Dr. Kwabena Dufo.
How calm he is.
Okay.
In all things. My auntie Betty Modidus.
Auntie Betty. So sat behind you?
Yeah. And the youth minister.
Oh, Pablo. So those are the top three.
Yeah.
Chiefs and traditional leaders sometimes can be difficult to deal with, and I say this with the greatest respect. And you're a young man, and I was at a program a few years ago, and a chief from the Western region said they like coming to Kumasi because they feel good when they are in Ashanti, because that's where tradition is celebrated at its zenith. So the politics of Kumasi is complicated because of the traditional setup, right? In many other places, it's not like that. So this is almost a minefield that the president has put you in. How do you hope to navigate that?
We're going to navigate it. Thankfully, His Royal Majesty has leadership dominance within the region, if not for anything. And any vision he buys into, you can hardly question that decision. So I need to carry him especially along. Once he is in sync with our developmental agenda and knows that it will inure to the benefit of Ashanti man, he would help bring all the others on board. Having said that, District Assembly specific initiatives needs to also move the paramount chiefs within those areas along as well. So the MMDAs, I would make sure they carry their chiefs at those levels also along. Once we're able to do that, and they know that everything we are doing is in the interest of Ashanti man, I'm very sure that they're going to help us succeed within the region. Again, His Royal Majesty is much more interested in youth leadership and youth participation in governance. When the nomination came, we had an engagement conversation. He sat me down to advise me for hours, like being in a lecture hall.
So he was happy that you were nominated?
Exactly. This is the first time you're getting a youth to lead the region. And every single advice he gave is rightly spot on. Because if not for anything, he's witnessed several regional ministers. He's experienced their shortcomings and their strength. So it's a huge institution. When you tap in, you cannot fail as a political leader. But if you now grow horns and begin to think that you are above or top of the world and a repository of knowledge, then you may fall on your own sword.
MPP has 38 or so MPs from Ashanti. So the power base of the party in parliament is Ashanti. So that could be an issue for you. You said in the vetting, I could see the camaraderie there, but you know in Ghana politics can be tough. How do you want to manage the 37 or 38 or almost 39 MPs?
They are orphan MPs now. Their president is out on the throne.
They are orphan MPs?
Yeah, they need us to help them develop their constituencies. And you see, importantly, there are new MPs amongst them.
A lot.
Who need legacy projects to their names and need to support us as a government to help them solve those problems. Otherwise, at their next primary, someone else will come and sweep them off. So it will be in their interest to equally partner with us in order for us to develop the region. So it wouldn't be a problem at all.
By the way, MCs have been nominated. Regional ministers are part of the process. Do you know the demand? I was talking to Volta. For 18 assemblies, they have 289 nominees. How big is the demand in Ashanti for this?
So for the 43 MMDs, we had 340 people applying.
Wow.
340.
So 300 people will go home sad.
Definitely.
I see.
Definitely. But
and they will report to you.
Yeah, all the MMDs.
And then you report to the president.
To the president. Importantly, all those who did not make it to the MMDA to become chief executives, the other slots in government, we are looking out for them. And so many slots in government. NADMO, youth employment, national health. Some of them have fantastic qualifications that we are actually eyeing national level CEO positions for them. But
based on the vetting you did?
Yeah, exactly. So we are hoping to be able to fix everyone in government. Once we are able to do at least majority of them, the few that are remaining, we encourage them to open businesses and thrive so far as business is concerned. Because if you are trained to be a businessman, you employ more of the youth. You even help the government instead of everyone wanting to be in government and being on.
All right. I have just a minute, so I'll let you just speak to the people of Ashanti. You can even speak to if you want.
Madam ase say mata mechi na maya madom mo mpaebo makwanche ene mo ntete na de ma bedru ba bia me we me ye mo ba me ye mo de hye me ye mo nua me ye mo bibia ene His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ayimi a yagima tum say many regional minister for the Ashanti region mesre say de ma fa me say mo ba ene mo bibia no monta machi na ye mo na asanteman emfa ne ntoma pa emfra bibia me ye bia be ye enema ebeboa na ma asanteman atimi akoso na ma asanteman so atimi atumpon ti dia me hwehwe wo mo ye say munya abotre ma ye na monta ye chi na monka ye ho ni atimi mu ama asanteman emfa ne ntoma pa emfra na Ghana so atimi fa ne ntoma pa emfra me da munyina amase.
Somebody will say Zion. No, as for the Ashanti, it's amazing. The people, the things they say, very nice. Dr. Frank Amoakohene, I wish you well.
Thank you.
Congrats on your appointment.
Thank you.
And I wish you succeed.
Thank you.
That's all we have time for today's edition. We've been talking to some of the regional ministers. We hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.